Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to talk to you about some of the activities that you can go out and do that are going to be a little bit more classy, a little bit more refined, and something still nice to go do if you are a Christian female. If you're new here, hello, my name is Nicole. I typically post videos on this channel that is talking to you about how you can level up some parts of your life experience. Maybe that is your outward, beauty experience. Maybe that is, what is going on the inside of you, and just have a nice informal chat with you guys, with you ladies, about these topics. Now with that, I believe somebody left me a comment in regards to this about classy Christian activities, and if I can find the screenshot of it, I'll place it right here. But I want to quickly go over a few things. Number one, my pastor said this to me years ago, and he was like, often with other Christians, the only thing that you're going to agree on is that Jesus came, he died, and he rose again. So I do want to say that if you are Christian and you are watching this and you think that this is outside of what you are comfortable with, by all means, like, we are all different, and I'm not really making this a place for us to debate what is right and what is not right. I'm just coming on to tell you some of the maybe classier Christian activities that I would do with my friends. And I think the first thing that I want to get into is the fact that there's no really Christian activity. However, I do think that there are activities that aren't going to put me into a place where I have to question the intentions or question what the outcome of the evening will be like. So with that, I want you to think about a few things before we get into this video. When you are thinking about what you're going to go out and do and what type of activities you will go out and do, are you going to be the purchaser of these items or purchaser of, these situations, or are you going to be the organizer of these situations? Because I think if you can figure out I am a purchaser or a organizer, that is going to dictate how you navigate going out and doing certain things that are going to make you feel maybe a little bit classier, and maybe, are activities that are a little bit classier over, maybe just like your average Joe Blow situation. So are you a purchaser or are you a organizer? The next question I want you to ask yourself, are you going to be doing this activity on your own, or are you going to be doing this activity with other people? Now, one of my most favorite Instagram accounts is Christians Who Curse Sometimes, because I find that the questions that they often share on their stories will show you the different mindsets behind different Christians. And I think that it really provokes healthy conversation, and some things you can learn from and some things you can see, it's great that they choose to live their life like that, but maybe that's not so much for me. So with saying that, I feel like I've put out a lot of disclaimers thus far. One of the things that I personally didn't do back at home, but I know a lot of my friends did, is they went like ballroom dancing. I can't remember what it's called, and if anybody from home ends up watching these videos, let me know if you remember what that like dancing. It wasn't, I think it was ballroom dancing and like swinging dancing. I don't know if that's a technical term, but so many people would go out dancing like on Saturday evening, and it sounded like they had a really good time, and it was actually a really wholesome time. It wasn't, grinding or anything like that. Now, be it that I come from a West Indian background, dancing is not something that I think is ludicrous. However, some of my girlfriends thought it wasn't honoring for them to go out dancing. That was how they chose to live their life. For me, that's not culturally my family, we dance. So yeah, I think dancing can be a great Christian wholesome activity, but obviously depending on the environment of where you're doing that might dictate how wholesome it is and how maybe not wholesome it is. Now, one of the other things that I do with one of my Christian girlfriends whenever I go to California is wine tasting. Whenever I'm in California, I go wine tasting with my girlfriend Kelsey, and she is also Christian. I know that for some people, maybe drinking is something that they refrain from, but for me personally, I think in the Bible it says do not be a drunkard, and so I do still have wine from time to time. I'm probably inserting clips of my last trip to Santa Barbara, and it is such a beautiful experience, and you're looking at such a beautiful view, and never mind, it provokes a time to have fellowship and have a conversation with the people that you care about over something that tastes so beautiful and so nice. Now, the next Christian activity that I think is a little bit more leveled up, and it will probably speak to those of you that consider yourselves to be more of a homemaker, but have you ever gone berry picking? Very wholesome, but it's actually really, really fun. And I have done this with my Christian friends and my non-Christian friends, and I just think it's such a nice treat to go out, enjoy the weather, and go berry picking. The next thing that I have on my list of things that I have done with some of my Christian girlfriends is going for a picnic. I come from somewhere where it is -40 in the winter, and now I live somewhere where it rains a lot. And I think that being able to go outside and enjoy the weather and again have some great conversation and be in an environment that provokes that conversation is always going to be feminine and classy, and really nice if you could do that with your Christian girlfriends. I think there's something to be said about when you can adorn a table setting or a blanket setting and make a very feminine and beautiful experience. Really, that when you do that, when you take the time to be intentional about those decorations, it makes a average experience that much more leveled up. Now, I've said this in one of my other videos, but one of the most feminine things that I think you can do is going to a workshop. And this again is going to be applicable if you are Christian or not. So have you ever been to a pottery workshop, or have you ever done a macrame workshop, or have you ever gone to a cooking class? I think that's a way that you can cultivate your feminine energy and feminine interest, as well as have some great time together with your girlfriends. Now the next thing that I want to speak to you guys about, I participated in an event at my church where we did a clothing swap. There was a bunch of rolling racks where all the clothes ended up sized out, and then you could then shop from those racks, but it was a complete clothing swap. No one was being charged anything. And you can do that on a, more intimate level. You don't have to do it with everyone in your congregation. Furthermore, when I first moved to Bristol, we had a clothing designer come in from London, and we had rented out, I say we, but it wasn't Christian women at all, but just this event. The organizer of the event had rented out one of the rooms at the Ivy, and she had a designer come in and show off her new fabrics and her new dresses, and it was such a beautiful experience. There was canapes, there was champagne, and I think when you pair, a beautiful location with beautiful garments and a bunch of ladies, it can still stay very wholesome and still be very uplifted and elevated. The next activity that I think is a little bit more leveled up that you could still totally do with your Christian girlfriends is a wine and art night. So I did this. It wasn't with one of my Christian friends, but I have done this with some of my Christian friends. There was like a charity event and we did have art there. However, I have done it with one of my other friends who isn't Christian, and we went to a art gallery, and everyone had like a glass of wine, and it was just nice to kind of be able to talk with one another in a more leveled up environment. And truth be told, we also did that at church. There was no drinking, but we did have like a black tie formal event at church where there was an auction as well. And I think people, again, bringing it back to the beginning of this video when I asked you, are you going to be the purchaser of these things or are you going to be the organizer of these things? If you have it in you to be the organizer of these things, you can create these moments even with your friends group. It doesn't have to be something that is put on by anybody that you buy a ticket to go to an event. Now, speaking of an event, the last thing that I want to speak about in regards to how you can be a little bit more classy and leveled up in some of the outings that you partake in as a Christian is going to a outside concert or outside symphony. I was invited to a outdoor concert here. It wasn't a concert, it's the symphony. I think it's called Bowood House here in the UK or in England, like in the southwest of England, and I didn't end up going. Now, I didn't do that with my Christian friends. I didn't end up going, and I wasn't even gonna go with my Christian friends. I don't have a lot of Christian friends here in the UK. But back at home, there was tons of like orchestra type events that my friends would like go to together. So even though the event wasn't necessarily put on by Christians, they went as a group together. They went out for dinner before, they got all dressed up and dolled up, and then they went out together. And I remember seeing the pictures and being like, oh, I wish I was invited. Anyways, my friends, I hope that has helped. This was a tricky video to create for you. Thank you to the person who left me that comment because it definitely provoked a lot of thinking and a lot of conversation in my household. But at the end of the day, I think what you do with your Christian friends is going to vary based off of where you are in your faith, how you choose to live that out, and who you are as a person. But those are some of the ideas that I have, and those are some of the things that I have done with my Christian friends. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, I would love if you just press that like button so I can gauge that this is the type of content that you're liking. Furthermore, I would love if you considered subscribing to this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.